From high-end hotspots to empty eyesores,
There's no stores. They're all gone.
the I-Team goes in-depth on the decline of local malls, the domino effect on town budgets,
It's kind of wait and see for us as a town.
an inside look at plans for reinvention,
We're pretty busy every day.
and why a select few have stood the test of time. Right now, in an Eyewitness News special presentation, The Future of Malls.
I'm consumer investigative reporter Cassidy Williams, and thanks for tuning in to The Future of Malls, a half-hour special looking into how the changes in retail impact you, your wallet, and your community. The first mall was built in America in the 1950s. Malls quickly became a staple of American culture, but we all know things have changed, and it's impacting how we interact with each other.
For decades, the mall was a sort of town square for community. Search Channel 3's archives, and you'll find plenty of proof. Fast forward to today, you'll find Arthur Carperill walking past a JCPenney, getting ready to close.
Once they lost the anchor stores, that started the domino effect.
Carperill has been getting his steps in at the Crystal Mall in Waterford for the last 20 years. He's a walking encyclopedia of the mall's history.
It used to be a hangout. It was the social media of the day where people would come in here and converse or just, socialize.
The quiet that now sits over the Crystal Mall is not unique. A Capital One research study found the number of malls across the country declined 16.7% per year from 2017 to 2022.
Originally, shopping malls were quite spectacular. It was exciting to go to a shopping mall. Not so exciting anymore.
George Ritzer is a sociologist who studies consumer culture at the University of Maryland. He explains not only have some malls lost their sparkle, they have lost their efficiency.
It's much more efficient to order something from Amazon.
Add all of that up and you get locked up storefronts. That Capital One research study found shopping malls are more than twice as likely to sit vacant than other types of retail space. But ask people of all ages, there is still a desire to have a place both to shop and to connect.
I like to shop in person because you kind of get the full experience. You get to try stuff on and you actually get to communicate with people, and online you can't do that much.
And it used to be that parks would perform that function. But as the government got out of providing those kind of public places, businesses decided that they could create those kind of communal places.
So what will step in to replace the traditional shopping mall's role in creating a place to gather?
People still need a connection, and they'll always need to seek out other people to get that social connection. It's just not going to be here.
Not here, but where? The answer is something we can't yet fast forward to.
Here are just 3 recent examples of stores closing nationally. Macy's has announced it will close 150 stores over the next 3 years. The company has not yet announced which locations will close. Express filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in April. It plans to close 4 Connecticut locations, including the Express at the Buckland Hills Mall. And Route 21 also filed for bankruptcy. It's closing all of its stores, including the ones at the Connecticut Post Mall in Milford and the Crystal Mall in Waterford. And even if you don't shop at these stores, if you live or work near a mall, its health impacts your personal finances, because as the value of malls declines, that tax burden shifts to you.
Right off I-84, the Brass Mills Center welcomes you into Waterbury. Not everyone in the city sees it as a warm welcome.
There's nothing to look forward to.
Anna Maria Arrayas and her husband recently took over the former Fatso's Pizza and Grill. They are turning it into a place for Hispanic food, to be called La Cibolita.
We wanted to expand more of our culture, nature.
The restaurant's location on Main Street is just outside of Brass Mill Center. They feel the effects of the mall's success, or lack thereof.
If the mall sucks, everything else goes down with it too.
It can be difficult to measure exactly how much malls across the state have changed, but one way is to look at how much the towns value them, otherwise known as their tax assessment. Every 5 years, towns recalculate how much a property is worth. In 2017, the main portion of the Brass Mill Center was valued at more than $68 million. In 2022, the value dropped almost 65% to just over $24 million. Why that matters is that means the mall's tax bill also dropped. The owners went from paying more than $4 million a year to the city to just over $1.3 million.
What kind of impact does that have on the city of Waterbury?
Because of an influx of folks from New York during COVID that has continued on, who are willing to pay what I think are extraordinarily high prices for some of our residences, homeowners unfortunately are paying more in taxes, while for some businesses the tax rates have come down at this point. It's not like there's a hole of $3 million because of all the shifting that's going on there.
Waterbury is just one example. In Meriden, the mall's tax bill dropped more than 80%. In Waterford, the tax bill went down more than 50%.
Those property taxes play a very important role in keeping the local governments running. And I'm afraid that if the malls do not reinvent themselves, then local governments will suffer more.
Mohammed Alehi is a professor of international business at Quinnipiac University. He explains how malls impact the economy in other ways too.
When people go and buy from malls, that generates lots of sales tax. Plus, when a mall is established, a lot of smaller stores also spring up around the malls. More people go and buy, they spend money.
Waterbury Mayor Paul Pernerusky says there is only so much the city can do about the Brass Mill Center because the city doesn't own it. It's owned by Cohen Retail Investment Group.
And eventually, I think you're going to start seeing some of the malls getting repurposed, but as of right now, that's not something that seems to be on the current owner's radar.
So for now, Pernerusky is focusing on what the city can control, growing other parts of the city.
We're pushing very heavily to redevelop the downtown area. We continue to attract developers down there.
Back on Main Street, Arrayas is also focusing on what she can control, cooking up good food. But she can't help but wonder what business would look like if the mall was full again.
If that mall changes, you guys bring in more stores and everything, I think it's going to make a big difference.
We reached out to Cohen Investment Group to ask about its future plans for the Brass Mill Center, but we have not heard back. New York-based real estate groups have been buying up mall properties all over the country. We'll have more on how that's changing things after the break. Welcome back to The Future of Malls, a half-hour special looking into how the changes in retail impact you and your community. We turn now to a look at one of the ownership groups buying up malls all across the country, Namdar Realty Group. The company's website says it owns 174 retail properties. Here in Connecticut, it owns the Enfield Square Mall, the Crystal Mall down in Waterford, the Trumbull Mall, and the Meriden Mall. That large footprint is now impacting the future of retail in our state.
Count the number of tags on the side of the Enfield Mall. It's probably more than the number of stores inside. The YouTube channel Flea Bitten Adventures calls it the deadest mall in Connecticut.
People just don't seem to care about the mall anymore.
Tom is the man behind that YouTube channel. He asked us not to show his face because he doesn't want the malls to know what he looks like. He travels all across New England, camera strapped to his chest, documenting malls along the way.
Well, because they seem to be disappearing, and I want to capture them before they are gone.
He's recorded more than 80 malls so far and says in his opinion the malls that are the emptiest and declining the fastest are Enfield, the Meriden Mall, and the Crystal Mall in Waterford. Turns out Tom's worst 3 malls are all owned primarily by the same company, Namdar Realty Group. The New York-based company owns the Trumbull Mall too. Namdar owns the majority of each mall, while anchor store properties are often owned by someone else. In Waterford, Namdar owns 77% of the square footage.
As soon as they purchased, I went online and I Google searched them, and I said, I need to reach out to them.
Rob Rule is the first selectman in Waterford. Google Namdar Realty like he did, and you'll find reports from all over the country. Here's a few. In Colorado Springs, Namdar was sued by the family of a 13-year-old girl who was shot at the Citadel Mall.
She can't even enjoy her life as a young child anymore.
The lawsuit claims Namdar did not have adequate security and its security cameras weren't working. Namdar told our reporting partners in Colorado Springs they could not comment on the litigation. That lawsuit is still working its way through the courts. In Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh Mills Mall was almost repossessed and sold at auction last summer after Namdar owed $11.5 million in taxes. Namdar later paid up. Back in Waterford, Brule is staying optimistic. He called Namdar as soon as the purchase was final in June 2023.
I feel like they're being honest with me. I feel like they're working on things, and I feel like the best is yet to come.
In Meriden, Economic Development Director Joe Fest is also staying positive, saying he isn't aware of any issues with NAMDAR's management.
I've actually had a decent experience working with them through the general manager here. They're trying. You know, are they doing what they can? I would love to see the place full. Now, is that all their fault? I don't think so. I truly don't.
Through a public records request, the I-Team discovered NAMDAR was notified 3 separate times last year that the Meriden Mall property was overdue for its fire alarm inspection. We've reached out to the fire marshal to see if that inspection was ever completed. Back up in Enfield, the chief building official tells the I-Team the town came close to shutting down the mall several times because of safety issues. During the summer of 2022, the town spent more than $114,000 of its own money to fix a collapsing roof that compromised the sprinkler and fire alarm system. The town placed a lien on the property to one day get that money back. Then on April 9th, the town of Enfield sent this violation notice to NAMDAR about site maintenance. The letter gives the company 30 days to clean up the property, or the town may start fining them $150 a day. The mayor of Enfield calls NAMDAR an absentee landlord.
We have tried to deal with the current owner, and they're not very easy to deal with.
But a new company is looking to buy the mall with big plans. Woodsonia Real Estate from Nebraska has a purchase of sale agreement to buy the property from NAMDAR. Woodsonia wants to tear everything down but the target to build a $250 million development called the Enfield Marketplace. The plan would include 450 apartments, 2 hotels, restaurants, and retail space.
It would be a complete redevelopment of the center of Enfield. We have a lot of the small, restaurants and stuff like that, and nothing against the chicken places, but how many chicken places can a town have? And so it's nice to attract something new.
Enfield's town council approved several tax breaks for Woodsonia, but the purchase of the mall is still contingent on getting a $20 million grant from the state. If Woodsonia doesn't get the grant, the developers made it clear the proposal is off.
The town stands behind it, and we're asking the state of Connecticut to work with us and be a joint partner with us.
Whatever happens, Tom will keep documenting it.
Time's running out, and I figured I might as well get out there and document as many as I can.
And the original Enfield Square Mall may not be there much longer. We reached out to a NAMDAR spokesperson in early April. As soon as we started researching this story, we asked for comments about all the malls in Connecticut NAMDAR owns. We also asked specifically for comment about the violations and lien we discovered at the Enfield property. A NAMDAR spokesperson confirmed she's received our messages and said she forwarded our questions to the team. But then we never heard back. There are malls across the state already working to reinvent themselves, from adding housing to pickleball. We look into that when we come back. Big changes are coming to a number of malls across Connecticut. Some may be partially knocked down to build apartments, while others are being reimagined in different ways. It's just a matter of finding someone willing to foot the bill. There's something blooming at the Connecticut Post Mall. Just don't expect it to be a new anchor store.
They still have a lot of space that's open.
It's the largest mall in Connecticut, and its owners say that's part of the problem.
Quite frankly, the malls of yesteryear are too big and not relevant to the way retail is sort of positioned today.
Michael Platt is the head of development for Centennial Real Estate, the Dallas-based company that owns the mall property. Milford City officials granted Centennial approval for up to 3 phases of construction. The plan is to tear down some of the mall and build up to 750 apartments. This is what it could look like.
And what we try and do is really turn these malls outward, stitch them into their community, and then make them more relevant by bringing in different uses that really responds to a broader segment of the population.
But ground hasn't been broken yet, as the company works to figure out exactly how much it will all cost.
It is a process, and unfortunately it takes a period of time, but we are working feverishly to make that happen as soon as we possibly can.
So this was menswear, this was dresses.
At Stamford Town Center, instead of tearing down any empty anchor stores, Pickleball America moved in.
We are busy every night, every weekend. We just keep adding programs.
13 courts now fill the first floor of the old off 5th. Pickleball America leases the space. The company paid for all the changes with the mall owner's blessing. The space opened last September. They are already planning to add more courts on the upper level as demand keeps growing.
It's becoming a major destination for families. We have people coming from all over the tri-state area.
In Meriden, city leaders would like to see something similar happen, adding a mix of uses to the mall.
Personally, I don't ever want to get out of retail completely in the mall. I think it has a key component of it, but I think it's no longer going to be 100% like it was before.
In 2021, Yale New Haven Health bought the section of the mall that used to be Macy's and announced plans to turn it into a comprehensive outpatient center. But more than 2 years later, Meriden is still waiting for construction to officially start.
They've gone in, they've cleared everything out. Everything is, all demo is completed internally. We're in a holding pattern until Yale starts this. I was hoping this would already be, to be honest with you, open, because I think that this use is going to be a great one to bring traffic back into the mall. And once you have traffic and people coming in, then that's when the stores come back.
The I-Team asked Yale if there is a timeline for when the outpatient center could open. A spokesperson sent the statement. Like many health systems across the country, Yale New Haven Health is facing headwinds stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic and the current economic climate. We are being very thoughtful in our planning, and we will update everyone as we move forward. For now, the more than 179,000 square feet sit empty. Because even when a city or town supports reinvention,
the mall's going to look very different 5 years from now.
What that different means for each mall will depend on who is willing to spend the money.
There are malls in our state that have managed to find success sticking with traditional retail. How they are doing it after the break. Welcome back to the future of Connecticut malls, as we now turn to the malls that have stood the test of time. So far, we've showed you malls that are struggling and other malls that are repurposing. But there is at least one mall in our state that is sticking with retail, and it's working.
Walk through West Farms with the eyes of a child.
There's so much stuff!
It's easy to see the excitement. Mom Tanya Kaufman prefers shopping with her kids in person.
It's good to be able to try them on and make sure they fit rather than order online and have the hassle of having to try to return it later.
But we know there are plenty of people who prefer to shop from home. An eMarketer study predicts 20% of all retail purchases will be online in 2024. However, West Farms spokesperson Amanda Sirica doesn't look at online shopping as a threat.
The majority of online returns are apparel returns. Those apparel returns come back to our stores, and it brings shoppers back into our stores here.
It's brick and mortar plus click and mortar.
Mohammed Alehi is a professor of international business at Quinnipiac University. He says there are currently too many malls in the United States for the number of people interested in in-person shopping. But research shows certain types of malls are still thriving.
The stores that sell high-end products, luxury products, they didn't really see that much erosion in their sales. So that means still there is a market for products that consumers would like to touch, feel before they buy.
At West Farms, Sirica says they are very purposeful in deciding what stores to bring in. They prioritize stores like Tory Burch that you can't find anywhere else in Connecticut. When the anchor store Lord & Taylor closed in 2020, West Farms later brought in Jordan's Furniture. There is only one other Jordan's location in Connecticut, more than 30 miles away in New Haven.
Shoppers want to come to West Farms, therefore tenants want to come to West Farms. So it's cyclical where we're supporting one another. They keep coming back to West Farms because of the uniqueness of the brands that we have here and the shopping experience that we've created.
West Farms will celebrate its 50th anniversary this fall, ready to take on what the next 50 will bring.
There will be a number of events at West Farms this October to celebrate its 50th birthday. Because when you hear that all malls are dying, our research shows that isn't true. Malls are adapting and changing just like we are. And each community can help play a role in what that change looks like. Thanks for watching. For the I-Team, Cassidy Williams, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.